All right, thank you very much. I'll start out with my usual sequence, and then I'll switch to the PowerPoint presentation that we have prepared. Good evening. My name is George O'Neill, Chair of the Thompson Inland Wetlands Commission. I'm calling the May 9th, 2023 meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order at 7:05 p.m. Due to the variety of technical issues, the teleconferencing application Zoom is being used. So we're operating under the following procedures. The session is being recorded both for audio and visual content and is under the control of a Zoom host, which in this case is Amy St. Ange. To ensure sound quality, the default rule for this meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and will generally keep the video of themselves on throughout the meeting. Applicants and members of the public should feel free to leave their video on or off. However, they will be asked to turn on their video when speaking. If video is not available for you, you will not be precluded from speaking at the appropriate time and may listen to the meeting. During this meeting, everyone is asked to state their name each and every time they speak. Please use the raise your hand feature to let me and the host of this meeting know that you've raised your hand to speak. I'll try to be attentive to that, but sometimes I'm distracted by the controls. Please, also, members of the public may only speak during the portion of the agenda established for citizens' comments on agenda items. For individuals representing applicants, permittees, and violators listed in the agenda and their representatives, if you are speaking at this meeting and have a document to submit to the commission, which is not distributed in advance of the meeting with the rest of the materials, please indicate that you wish to submit the document. You will need to hold it up to the camera so that the commission and all members of the public may view it. In addition, you'll be required to email an electronic version of the document in PDF format or take a photograph of it and email it to Wetlands Agent at email address wetlands@thompsonct.org. Marla will include it in the permanent record of the commission. If a member of the public tries to communicate outside of the citizens' comments on agenda items portion of the meeting, or any person creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected by the Zoom host from the commission from the meeting upon my request. So it's 9. We've already covered the roll call, so I'll move right on to the next item, which is there are no alternates to appoint. Action on minutes of the previous meetings. I've got the minutes of April 4th, 2023, and the minutes of April 6th, 2023 special meeting. Commissioners, do you have any comments, changes, or revisions to recommend for these minutes?
It's Commissioner Chapin. On the top of page 3 at the regular meeting, there's this is just a small typo, but I believe the top of page 3, it's talking about Bernard Mayo and being referred to, it says NEDH, and I think that should say NDDH. That's the only thing I saw.
Transposition, good catch. And Amy, if you could, I'd like to share my screen so everyone can look at the documents if possible. Thank you.
That's the only thing I saw.
Great, thank you. Any other corrections? Commissioner Obert, you've got to be on your mute.
Yes, because we were instructed to stay on mute unless we had something to say.
Okay.
This is Charlie Obert. I don't really have any question. I expect that it will be covered by in Marla's report, but I wanted to touch quickly on that same item that was referred to. There was a question about ledge. That was the IWA 23003. And I just wondered if there was a report back on that. The next one was the following item. No, that number that I just read was the Jason LaValle project.
So,
and I was wondering if we got a report back on hydrology from that.
Commissioner Obert, are these corrections to the?
No, they're questions.
Okay, so I'm just looking.
I just wanted to make sure that they were not on tonight's agenda, and
okay.
I was just wanted to touch base on that.
I'm looking at the meeting agenda items for the prior meeting, right? Those that were recorded are. Before we move on to the next item, just to be clear, so the agenda items from the prior meetings, there were 2 items, right? There was the
There were two items that I was expecting a follow-up report on, and I didn't see anything related to them on tonight's agenda. So I just wanted to, and I didn't know
Right.
if I expect they're going to be covered in Marla's report.
I understand. What I'm
But I
getting at
wanted
is,
to
can we
flag
accept,
them
but,
for
okay, but
for further consideration.
I get that, but for the minutes that were recorded on the prior meeting of April 4th, do you have any changes to that meeting? And no, the minutes, other than that which was pointed out by Commissioner Chapin?
Yes.
No?
No, I have none.
Okay. And for the minutes of April 6th special meeting, any amendments or changes?
No.
I didn't see any.
All right. So in this case, should we need to vote on making the changes? Does everyone agree? Yes? Commissioner Obert? You're on mute.
No changes, you're correct.
Okay, so let's accept, with it hearing no opposition, let's accept the minutes as proposed with the amendment for the transposition Scrivener's error on NDDH. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, we have citizens' comments on agenda items. Yes, we have a few citizens. Any citizens' comments on the agenda items? Commissioner Obert, to your note, I think this would be a good point to bring up the apparent omission, I guess, of the report, and maybe our inland wetlands agent can speak to the agenda.
There was a motion that was approved to have somebody with better understanding of hydrology, see what the impact might be as 3 wells go into that area near the French River. How deep would they go? Would it impact the nearby vernal pond or not? So
Okay.
I didn't see any follow-up notes on that. The other one was just curiosity about Mr. Mayo. And we looked at his drawings and there was possibility that he was going to be running into ledge. So we wanted him to at least let us know whether it was ledge or not.
Okay, so those are two omissions that you're pointing out for the current agenda. So maybe our
Well, they're questions to make sure that we talk about
right.
them tonight.
Well, maybe we can amend the
They
agenda.
were not already in Marla's report.
Right,
just-
but what I'm getting at is we can amend the agenda, right, to include those items if you'd like.
Can Marla say if there was
She's on mute. She's on mute. Let's let her comment. Marla, can you address the questions? Commissioner Obert's looking at an inadvertent omission to those points, and I believe he's suggesting an amendment to the agenda items that we'd have to vote on.
So I think if you, when you get to the La Valley application IWA 23002, I can speak to the issue of the wells. And if that is, so that should be handled there. It's already an agenda item. And
Right.
also Janet may want to respond to that also. Second, the second item was, speak that again, Charlie.
It was whether or not the position of the garage was correct with because of
Correct.
ledge. You wanted to know
So-
whether we could move it into the wetlands.
He had changed the location of the garage and the commission approved the location being out of the wetlands completely. And he was going to start his excavation work. And if he found that he had bedrock that would be potentially problematic to his well, then he may have to come back to the commission and seek a new permit if he found that he needed to relocate the garage so that there was some fill-in wetlands. He is aware of that. He has not yet indicated that he's starting construction. He has, I did send him the approval, the permit. George signed it, sent it to him, and there's cards in the approval that asks him a week ahead of time before he starts his work to notify the wetlands office, send the card back. He has not done that, so I'm expecting it. He hasn't started his work yet. Once he starts his work, then we'll find out whether or not he hits ledge, because he's going to do the site work first before he starts any construction. And that's when he's going to find if he hits ledge.
Okay, so that, I think, does that
answer your question?
You're on mute, Commissioner Obert. Charlie, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Isn't technology wonderful?
Does that address your questions, though?
Yes, I think she answered my questions,
All
but
right.
she also asked whether or not there was a report addendum from Janet Blanchett.
Well,
And I
I think
didn't
she'll
hear that.
address that on Jason LaValle when we get to that point.
Okay, okay.
So I
Good.
think the questions of Commissioner Obert regarding the current agenda clarifications were made by our inland wetlands agent. So with that clarification, we're going to proceed with the agenda without modification. So old applications, WAA 22029, Gary Rawson, 46 Lodgy Road, Assessors Map 141, Block 17, Lot 184R. Construct a new single-family home in a 100-foot upland review area, aquatic reservoir stamped received 11/16/22, issued 5/3/23. Legal notice to be published on 5/12/23. End of appeal period is 5/27/23. So let me move on to this item. All right, I trust everyone can see my screen, right? So there we are. Marla, where do we stand on this one?
At this point, there's nothing that you need to do. The legal notice has not yet been published, and then there's a two-week appeal period for anyone to appeal to the commission, the decision that I made on it. So you have a copy of the approval on page 12. And the health department did come through with the authorization for the design and actually had a authorization to construct too.
Right. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, WAA 23001, NASF 274 Riverside Drive, Assessors Map 87, Block 95, Lot 39. Construct a 13-foot by 50-foot concrete pad for a refrigeration/freezer unit stamped received on 1/19/23, revised on 2/1/2023 to include a construction of two second-floor decks, one 50-foot by 13-foot over proposed concrete slab, and one 18-foot by 36-foot along entire width of the south side of the building under review. Application is on hold pending receipt of revised drawings to match what he has indicated in writing. So where do we stand on that?
So I spoke to Mr. Yosef yesterday, and he's been having difficulty getting architecturally signed plans. His plan is to have both decks connect together so that he only has to have one staircase going down from the building, from the deck, as opposed to having two staircases if he had the decks separated. But he has only provided to the building office.
You're breaking up, Marla. You're still breaking up. We don't have you. You're on mute, or you're
From a professional engineer, just the deck. I am. You can hear me?
We hear you now.
I'll call
We can
in.
hear you now. We can hear you now.
I'll call back
Yeah.
in so we can at least. Okay,
So just
well,
put
if
your
it happens
speaker on
again,
mute. Yeah, put your speaker on mute and dial in. That way you can have the video and the audio.
yes, that's what I'll do. So in any case, I'm still waiting for architectural plans.
Okay. So nothing further on that item then.
No.
Okay, while you transition, we'll move on to the next item. Item 3. It's IWA 23002, Jason LaValle, 0 Azad Road, Assessors Map 67, Block 53, Lots 1H and 1G. Construct multifamily dwellings in 5 phases within upland review area with drainage discharging to wetlands/water courses. Stamp received on 2/7/2023, statutorily received date 2/14/2023, received written 65-day grant of extension to process application. Revised plans received on 3/30/23. Okay, so what's next on this one?
This is Janet Blanchett, professional engineer from J&D Civil Engineers. Also in the Zoom room this evening is the applicant, Jason LaValle. I think you guys are pretty familiar with this project. It was submitted in February, but Jason did allow for a permit extension for the purpose of making sure that the vernal pool study could be conducted at the appropriate time of the year and the right season. That was accomplished in early April, and at last at your April meeting, we reported back to the commission that in fact, the pools were functioning as vernal pools. I know Marla worked hard on getting together this PDF of documents for the Zoom meeting this evening. I think, wow, perhaps while she's reading to tie in, I can just summarize the revisions and additions we've made to the project plans. So it won't be really any new information while she's tying in. So basically, since February, the things we've done to address comments from commissioners and staff was that we added phased grading to the plan set so that, you know, limits of disturbance for each phase and ENS could be properly designed and detailed. We did remove that one building that was building F that was almost entirely within the 100-foot upland review area, and considering the comments by the commission members and the potential for erosion and everything, we had removed a building last month. On our plans, we also accurately located the actual edge of the water during the vernal pool season so that information would be available. Regarding the wells that Charlie mentioned, when Marla brought that up last month, we moved the wells farther away from the wetland and vernal pool situation. And then in March, I submitted a letter to the commission basically explaining that the water that feeds the vernal pool in the wetland is from shallow subsurface flow from, you know, rain events that try to travel through the soil and then, you know, break out onto the ground. The water that the wells will be withdrawing is from hundreds of feet below the ground in the bedrock aquifer. So it should not impact the hydrology that's running in those shallow layers to the vernal pool and the wetlands. And in fact, Marla has notes from a meeting that we had in the conference room with staff. And when we were going over this exact issue, she asked, and Jason brought up that the wells are cased and grouted down like 20 feet. So the wells definitely do not withdraw water from you know, the runoff that runs through the soil when it rains. They're from fractures in the ledge hundreds of feet underground. So I submitted to Marla a copy of a typical cross section that the state requires for well construction that shows the well casing and the grouting going down. This is a great overall picture that Chairman O'Neill put on the screen. It shows the project well in relationship to the buildings, the wetland, the lot, and the conservation easement. There's some guest parking on the plan, and Marla requested that be graded to drain towards the driveway and away from the pond. We made that change to the plan. She also requested snow storage locations, and those were added to the plans. Let's see. If you advance, I would say probably to the Zoom sheet 39, that will show more detail.
Here we are, 39.
So this is sheet 39, which shows phases 1 and 2, which are the phases probably closest to the wetlands. And while we had our staff meeting, I highlighted in yellow the drainage system. And you'll also see on kind of the bottom right, the snow stockpile area just beyond the parking lot of phase 1. Thank you. And so other locations on site, those locations were added to, again, just to address staff comments, because we've been working hard and with Marla and diligently to address all the comments. On the detail sheets, I'm not sure you have to turn to that sheet, but we added details for silt sock and wood chips berms to be used for erosion control devices instead of silt fence, because that way it's a low berm that amphibians can crawl over. And that was a suggestion by our consultant, Margaret Washburn, and Marla agreed with that. So that change was made. I would say if you wouldn't mind going to sheet 35, Mr. Oh, well, actually, this is fine too. Let's just look at this sheet. This shows the relocation of the woodland path that goes from this project off the site to the north towards the airline trail. Like in the middle left-hand side of the site, you can see the trail heading off. And before that trail used to be, yep, it's a little above, right there. There's the, yes, thank you. That trail heads towards the airline trail, and that trail used to be located closer to the wetlands. It was on right on the top of the steeper slope on the embankment for the stormwater basin. And there was a concern by the Conservation Commission, and we thought it was a good one, that there might be, like, if people walk their dogs, there might be dog feces and just a general wearing off of the surface of the ground. So it would be better if those activities are farther from the wetlands, and that was, a great idea. So we incorporated that into the plan. We also provided, and that is part of the Zoom packet, a copy of the CONDOT approval letter. That's important because all the drainage on this site pretty much drains towards Riverside Drive, which is Route 12, a state road. We deliberately designed the drainage because of the concern of contaminants in the vernal pool, that the drainage system does not discharge to the wetlands or the vernal pool. It discharges towards the state highway, and they have approved our plans. I don't know if the commission members want me to, like I said, Marla's PDF packet was very precise. I could go over the minutes of the meeting we had, the staff meeting we had with the commission members, or we could go through the vernal pool report, whatever.
Great.
You guys.
So George, I'm on board with my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So Janet, if you don't mind, I'll go through the notes that I put for the meeting of April 6th, because this will address some of Charlie's concerns.
Sure.
So if you go to page 15 of the Zoom documents, I put in the Zoom documents notes from 2 meetings. The first meeting was an in-house meeting with a number of staff to go with also Janet, Mr. LaValle, Margaret Washburn, Tira, Amy, and Cynthia Dunn. And we went through all the different possible concerns that we had. So one of the issues was the bedrock geology. I had done a little bit of investigation and found that the geology in this area where the apartments are going to be is called the Tectonic Hill Formation, and it's a medium grain gneiss or schist. And so I went to look to see what kinds of information I could find about that rock formation, and a review of that information on the internet revealed that yields of this formation can be variable. And then I had a copy of the May 28th hydrogeologic impact assessment for agrobiotic greenhouses in Mansfield, Connecticut, and they showed varying yields ranging from 1.7 to 20 gallons per minute. And Jason had at that time reported that based on the well drilling records for the nearby homes on Ballard Road, he believes that his proposed well yields will be more than adequate for his development needs. He also said that the water from the wells is isolated from the near surface water table since the bedrock wells are drilled with 10 feet of well casing pounded into the bedrock, and that prevents the infiltration of near surface water. So that the water that falls from the sky stays primarily in the near surface area, and the water that's supplying the homes with drinking water is from deep underground. And there's not a direct connection between the two. So the wells you would not anticipate the wells to dry up the vernal pool. And I would tend to agree with that. So the water management systems, the way they're designed, will support increased infiltration into the till. And in this area, based upon the geology, the superficial geology, the till is expected to be between 10 to 20 feet in depth. So it will supply the stormwater management basins will supply some of the water to the vernal pool. And then the question about the hydraulics. One of the concerns was at the last meeting is that the hydraulics were kind of complicated to go through, and I was not a professional to do that. So Janet agreed to sit down with me and go through all of the hydraulics, which is what we did the next day. And I have the notes from that. Excuse me, it wasn't the next day. It was on the 10th of April. I believe that was a Monday. I don't remember exactly.
The notes show it as the 10th here.
Yeah, it is the 10th. So, and we went through it, and basically the biggest concern that I had was the separation between the vernal pool and the stormwater basin number in phase 2, that pond. And what Janet was able to show me is that in a 100-year return frequency storm, the berm that separates the vernal pool will have at least a half a foot of freeboard before it can even overtop, and its release is towards Route 12. The best way to look at this is if you go to page, I'm going down to sliding down into the plans. That would be, which one is it?
I believe 39.
41,
Okay.
I think. No, it's not 41. Yeah.
39.
39 is
Yeah.
here. This is 39. There was 41, whichever. Takes the
Yes.
click. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's 39. So you see what she's marked in, and I scanned this in because I asked her to mark in where the storm drain system would come into the pools and how it would leave. So you see there's 2 imports of stormwater coming into that system. One of them is just a couple of catch basins from the road, and the other is a combination that comes from the stormwater basin located is that phase 4 or phase
Yes.
3? Phase 4?
Phase 4.
Yeah, so rather than having an overland flow from phase 4, it was she decided to pipe it directly into the catch basins on the road and then into the basin that handles phase 2. So you end up with a system that's kind of chained together, but they can run, a latter phase is dependent upon an earlier phase. So as long as phase 2 gets built, then phase 4 could then be built and the drainage go into phase 2's basin. So that got addressed, the concern that I had. And then additionally, Janet had notified me that the Department of Transportation had reviewed the plans, and they had no objection to the plans. In fact, they approved them, and that is on page 16 of your Zoom documents. You go to page 16.
Got it.
Yeah. So given the fact that the Department of Transportation has engineers, and the fact that Janet said, you know, if you're doing a peer review, which is what we were looking at last meeting, that you really have to start at the very beginning of the application, because it takes a while for another engineering firm to go through and review all the hydraulics. It's not a simple thing. It's, you know, it's basically running through everything. So there really wasn't enough time to get a separate engineer to look at it and give an answer by this time, or even by next month. So I felt that the approval by the Department of Transportation, since it's their road that it will be ultimately affected if there's any excessive overflow, they've approved it. And so they've accepted that this is something that is all right from their position. Now, with regards to Margaret Washburn's vernal pool report, she has verified that it is a vernal pool. She and I had a little discussion about how many vernal pools there really were in Thompson. She said in her report that she thought that there may be hundreds, if not thousands. And I said, well, I don't think there's thousands of vernal pools. I haven't seen a lot of true vernal pools. I've seen a lot of, you know, wetlands that might have some kind of breeding, but not necessarily vernal pools. But she is the expert in this case, and so you have to rely on what she had written in her report. The fact that there is no surface water from any of the roads or the lawns going into the vernal pool means that it's not going to be polluted by runoff from those sources. And since it's going to be recharged by the stormwater management basins, it should be supported by them. I don't see a problem with this application in relation to the vernal pool.
Okay. Thank you.
I will make one comment though. The plans that you have on here on that start on page 34, of those, the original ones, 3 of them have been replaced with updated versions. Sheet 2, sheet 8, and sheet 10 all had changes made on them. So they have a different revision date. I believe the revision date is 5/2, if I recall correctly. But there's one other plan that would need to be updated, and that's sheet 4. The applicant has moved the walking trail off of the berm that subtends phase 4 stormwater basin, partly because of a comment that was raised by the Conservation Commission. And once you realize that people walking on the top of that berm could cause it to become, and this is on page 37, you can best see it. And that sheet needs to be replaced, moving that's sheet 4 of the plans on page 37 of the Zoom documents. And that did not change the location, and that sheet needs to be revised, because the walking trail would no longer be on top of the berm that subtends the stormwater basin. But other than that, I have no objection at this point in time for the commission to approve this application.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Blanchette and Marla, for the observations, comments, and comprehensive summary of the proposed project and all the hard work that's gone into assessing and modifying it to conform to our sensitive environmental needs. So at this point, Marla, if I understand it correctly, we need a vote on this to approve?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So commissioners, any further questions of Marla or Janet or Ms.
I
Lavalley?
have a question that really is underlying all night long. Where are the wells going to be drilled in? How deep are they? And where are the cisterns that are supposed to be put in for fire control? Somehow I've been thinking about we're potentially pulling a lot of water out of this aquifer and flushing it down to the wastewater treatment plant. And I think that was the question that I was getting at. Will this project be long-term detrimental to the aquifer? didn't know if it was going to go as deep as the French River or not. And if the fire department requires additional reserves of water, then that just started me thinking. So perhaps somebody can
Thank you.
address that. I've been pretty well satisfied about the vernal pool since they moved that
Great.
one house out of there.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. So you're under about the location and the capacity of the wells. Perhaps professional engineer Blanchett could address that.
Yes. The cistern for the fire department, that's like a public safety issue. It really doesn't have anything to do with the aquifer or wetlands. It's basically a precast concrete tank. You can see it on this drawing, like 2/3 of the way over to the right. It's a rectangle right above the well right above well one.
Well one. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
here.
rectangle, yes. So basically that's a 10,000 gallon precast concrete tank that's just kept full at all times, so that if there's an emergency, not only in a fire emergency, not only in this neighborhood, but really anywhere in this part of Thompson, that the fire department can go and withdraw water out of that. So that it's not a cistern into, it's not like a dry hydrant. It's a concrete tank that's just going to always have water available for fighting fires in this part of Thompson. So that was the fire marshal's public safety comment. Regarding the aquifer,
How is that refilled?
it's the responsibility of the fire department as per the fire marshal, which is pretty much what they do in Woodstock. They go check them once a year, chlorinate them once a year, make sure they're full. But it's a sealed tank, so they don't typically have problems with the water evaporating or going out any cracks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Blanchett. In the aquifer, I guess there's a question of the aquifer. I mean, is this even an issue? But maybe perhaps
it's really not a Wetlands Commission issue, but if you just look at like the water balance between how much runoff hits this part of town versus how much would be withdrawn for this amount of houses,
right.
There is plenty of recharge because of the amount of rainfall we get and the size of the drainage area.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Commissioners, any other questions? Or
George,
yes.
I don't know how to raise my hand, so I don't know where it is on the.
What's your question?
Okay, I want to make a comment about both the wells and the fire and the cistern. Both of those issues are planning and zoning issues. They are not the Wetlands Commission's issues. The aquifer is not the Wetlands Commission's responsibility.
Right.
However, in thinking that if the well, so it starts with well number 1 on phase 1, that doesn't have to go to the health department for any review. Once it gets past phase 1, it's going to end up having to meet state health department requirements for the wells. So the question is there enough water for all of this development? The nice part about the way this project was designed is that each phase is independent of a later phase. So you can do phase 1 and 2, and then if you find there's a problem, you don't have to build 3 and 4. Or you could end up building 3 and 4 and if you find that you don't have enough water, then you have other locations for wells depending on how far you go. But at this juncture, you can't know. There's no way of knowing exactly how much you're going to have, but it's really not the Wetlands Commission's responsibility.
Good. Thanks for that clarification. So as much as it's not a purview, in our area is focus on the wetlands and the vernal pools and the related areas. I think we're on track here. So are there any other commissioner questions before we or discussion? And do I have a nomination to a recommendation to approve this project?
I will move to approve this project. I'm having technical difficulties getting the text up on the screen.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Overt. So I have a motion to approve the project as proposed.
I'll second it.
And I have a second from Fran. Any discussion? Further discussion?
It's Commissioner Chapin. I just want to make sure that we're getting, that sheet 4 is going to be updated that Marla had mentioned.
Oh.
With this, in this approval.
Okay, so your motion was to approve it as with the recommended revisions as discussed by
Correct.
and outlined by our inland wetlands agent and affirmed by the engineer for the applicant, correct?
Correct.
So these are, these things change obviously quickly. So that is your amended motion, Commissioner Obert?
Yes, if I'm understanding Commissioner Chapin correctly, it needs to make it clear that the Mylar has to be exactly what we're hearing tonight.
Okay.
That I expect anyway, so sure, I'm fine with the amendment.
Okay, great. So we have a proposal to approve the project as proposed with the amendments as discussed this evening to update the Mylars, because obviously they didn't make it to the deck tonight. And are there any, if there's no further discussion, we could move to a vote. So we'll use a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the project is approved as proposed with the amendments as discussed during this commission meeting. And thank you very much, Ms. Blanchette and Mr. Lavalle, for your patience in working with us on developing a plan that's sensitive to the environmental needs and the inland wetlands of Thompson. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move on to the next project.
Chairman,
I'm sorry?
this is Fran.
Yes. Commissioner
The
Chair.
next, I believe the next item is one that's mine, and so I'd like to step down
Ah.
from the commission during this.
Okay, Commissioner,
And I will also be representing the application if there's any questions.
all right, so you're recusing yourself on this application.
Correct.
That leaves Commissioner Chapin, Oberyn, and O'Neill to vote on it. So the application, new applications. DEC 23009, Francesca Morano, 279 Lowell Davis Road, Assessors Map 99, Block 29, Lot 24. Two-lot subdivision with no work in wetlands or watercourses submitted to meet requirements of Section 8-26E of the Connecticut General Statute, stamped received on 4/20/23. So,
Okay, George.
what do you have on this?
I'll explain this.
Thank you.
So section 8-26E of the statute says that when any parcel of land containing wetlands goes for subdivision approval, an application must be filed with the Inland Wetlands Commission. Now, historically, when we've had applications that have no work in wetlands or watercourses, applications have been made. If you recall, there was one on Capitoolic Road. And there was no, so what ended up happening is they submitted an application, paid the fee, but there was no authorization, no requirement for it really to be before the commission, except that this statute, 8-26E, says whenever the property contains any wetlands, whether or not you're planning on altering them or not, has to have an application submitted to the Inland Wetlands Commission. Now, it doesn't say what kind of application it is. So Fran initially submitted a conceptual subdivision approval application. And I said to her that, in my opinion, because there was no work, if you go to page, go to page 52 of the Zoom document, that shows her property, and she's basically breaking it into two pieces. And the only wetlands that she has are to the east of the property, to the east and south. You can see it there on the upper right-hand side of the screen is where the wetlands. That's the only place where their wetlands are. So because her proposal, if you scroll down to page 53 to see what her proposal is, she's not proposing any work anywhere near wetlands or water courses or in an upland review area. So I suggested to Fran that she utilize the declaratory ruling application, which is an application, and it starts on page 46, and it says application form, use permitted as of right or non-regulated use. So what I had suggested that she do is the last item on that application form, which she checked off, is the proposed activity is not regulated as defined by section 2 of the Thompson Inland Wetlands and Watercourses regulations. Delineation of wetlands by qualified soil scientists may be required, and she had Margaret Washburn do the delineation, and the flag numbers are on the map that she supplied on page 52. They're numbered, and that's what she would present to the Planning and Zoning Commission, so that if the commission approves this declaratory ruling that says there's no work in wetlands and watercourses, then I will submit a memo to the Planning and Zoning Commission that this application has been reviewed and has found no work in wetlands, watercourses, or upland review area, and that you have no further comment.
Okay.
Similar to what I've done in the past.
Thank you. So there's no work in the inland wetlands, but it happens to be on the site, so we have to weigh in on it. It's a short
Correct.
version. Great. So at this point, we can, it's just submitted, but is there any reason we can't just move forward with it?
You have to approve a request for declaratory ruling or to deny it. So you have to vote on it.
Okay. So thank you for that. And Fran, do you have any other comments on the subject before we?
No, I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation to Janet and Daniel for their expertise and support.
All right. Thank you. Commissioners, do we have a motion to advance this application?
Yeah, it's Commissioner Chapin. I'll make the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Chaseman made a motion to approve the application.
I'll second the motion.
And seconded by Commissioner Obert. Any discussion? Okay, so if I understand it correctly, we have a proposal to accept the application with the qualifications as discussed, outlined by Marla Butts on the nature of the memo as required. That's what we have before us. No further discussion. If I hear none, then
I see Amy St. Ange has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where is it? Oh, there it is. The non-voting member may comment.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all the commission members. I just have I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So this is on the agenda tonight for approval of something that is not in the upland review area, that is not in wetlands or water courses. Why is this on the agenda tonight? Help me understand, because I don't understand.
I thought and the wetlands agent touched on that, Amy, that because there are wetlands on there, it has to be weighed in on, even though if it exists, they have to comment on it. Is that correct, Marla?
That's correct. So
Okay.
Amy, if you go to that section of the statutes, 8-26 parenthetical E, you'll see the language there for when a subdivision application goes before planning and zoning, that land has wetlands on it, that it must at the same time submit an application to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
Okay. All right. I understand. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I had the same question. I thought to myself, what do we? So that should help speed the process of approval, because no work in the wetlands, but as noted, we clarified it. All right.
It's also some point.
Yes, Commissioner Obert.
Charlie Obert here. It's also something that's exceedingly rare.
Yeah.
All the time I've been on the commission, it's the first time I've seen anything like that. And I wondered, has that been addressed? We just looked at rules and subdivision regulations and things like that. Maybe it doesn't have to be, but it did cause our first selectman to be curious, and other people too.
Sure. Oh,
Anyway,
good.
I still second it.
All right. So we have a commission proposal to before it, and we have a motion and second. Any further discussion on the point? Okay, hearing none. Let's move to a vote. We've got 3 commissioners here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the application is approved with the qualifications as described by our inland wetlands agent as needed. And thank you very much for the application.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to the next item. Let me just advance my slide deck here.
Is Fran back on the commission?
She's no longer recused, I believe, right? At this point, the vote is passed.
I don't want her to go home early.
Or is she taking a pass?
Wait, did you ask about me?
Yes.
So you're no longer recusing yourself, correct?
I'm no longer recused.
Okay.
All right. So I'm on to IWA 23010 Thompson Business Park LLC, 0 and 0 Reardon Road, or Assessors Map 65, Block 100, Lot 40 and 40G. Self-storage facilities with grading and stormwater discharges in 100-foot upland review area. Stamp received on 5/2/23 to be statutorily received on 5/9/23. What do we have on this one, Marla?
Okay, so George, if this application came in last week, and Norm Tyvo, the professional engineer who did the design work, is on the Zoom meeting, but I'll briefly explain that this site doesn't actually have any actual work in wetlands or watercourses. It does have 2 discharges that head towards wetlands, but the owner, the property owner, has decided to submit an individual permit application as opposed to a wetlands agent approval, which is fine. And so as a consequence, since it's an individual permit application, you will have to only receive it tonight, and then you cannot render a decision or hold a public hearing before next meeting.
Okay.
So with that, if you go to page 64, that shows the basic layout of the Zoom documents. That shows the basic layout of the project, and I would turn it over to Norm Tyvo.
Okay, Mr. Tyvo, do you would like to make some comments on behalf of the applicant? Just identify
sure.
yourself. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Norm Tebow, Killingley Engineering Associates. And the application that you have before you, this is a commercially zoned piece of property, and originally, I believe there was I'm not sure if it was ever approved, but there was at least a preliminary plan for some contractors warehousing here. My client purchased the property, and he's looking to do some mini storage. After the project is completed, I think it's a fairly low impact type of development in that there's not a whole lot of traffic here. Even on a busy weekend, you may have 10 or 12 people here to come and check on their storage units. This will be done in a kind of like 2-tiered sort of development. The lower level has 2 buildings on it. The upper level has 5 buildings on it. The lower level will also have the office. This will be a gated establishment. So the only people that are going to be able to get in there to the units they're going to have to pay their monthly fee, and they'll have a card to get in and access the units as they please. There's quite a bit of grading associated with this. It's pretty well balanced. We're cutting on the south side of the development, and more or less filling on the north side and the east side to create a couple of plateaus where we can put these buildings. We have numerous stormwater basins that are used, number one, to help alleviate the peak discharge rates on the site, or to mitigate actually, and then also they're addressed for water quality to be able to provide settling of any types of sediments and so forth that may become entrained in the stormwater. Other than that, I think it's a relatively simple project in that regard. Nothing too complicated, except that the earthwork is probably going to be the time where we were going to have to be a lot more conscious of the erosion and sedimentation controls and stormwater controls as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tybo. Commissioners, any questions for the consulting engineer on this project?
Would we be able to walk the site?
Sure, if you'd like to.
I think I would, yes.
So I have a question, George.
Sure.
Do you want to do this separately, or do you want to do it as a special meeting for the site walk? What is the commission's pleasure?
Commissioners, what's your
I
preference?
thought we were just receiving this tonight, so we should have timeline. But if we need a special meeting to get over there, I'll do it.
I'm just wondering if you want me to take you separately. I don't need a special meeting if I take you separately, but if you want to go as a group, then
Yeah.
it has to be a special meeting.
So how many want to go, I guess, is the question, is really at the heart of the question. Or do we want to go as a group, or based on your work schedules and the beautiful weather, maybe you have conflicts and you would rather go one-on-one?
I don't mind. If it's not too much inconvenience or wear and tear for Marla. But
Yeah.
I do want to see the site and look at where the wetlands will be in the grading.
Yeah, I don't have a preference. I do not have a preference for a group, a special meeting. So my preference would
So
be to
how
have
many people want to go? If everybody wants to go, then we'll do it as a special meeting.
Okay. So Fran, what's your feeling? Do you want to even go?
I do want to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Fran wants to go and Charlie wants to go. That leaves Diane.
Yeah, I would go too,
So
So I can
our
make it,
next
yeah.
regularly scheduled site walk.
So yeah, there you go.
No.
Go, sidewalk.
You don't have regularly scheduled site walks anymore. They're all special meetings.
Oh,
So the next time that you can
Logistics.
have a special meeting, which would usually be the Saturday before the next meeting. The next meeting, I believe, is on the 13th. So you can do a special meeting on the 10th or the 3rd, whichever is your pleasure, on June, Saturday.
June 3rd is close to Memorial Day, but I don't have any particular.
Sure. I think sooner is better than later. So
I
that way-
agree. Let's do the 3rd if everybody's available.
Let's target
Yeah.
the 3rd, and you can have 2 or more anyway. It sounds like, no matter what, and we'll target that, and we have a special
Thank you.
meeting and move forward. All right.
Okay, I have one other comment. So on to the north side of this property and to the west side is a conservation easement, which was created when the subdivision was originally created. So I've already provided Dan Malo with the application documents so that the Conservation Commission can weigh in on whatever their concerns is. This property is almost across the street from the Superior Gas, the gas, propane gas one that came through a couple of months ago. This
Right.
is almost across the street from that. So I will invite Dan to come, and as I have suggested to him, that I do not advise more than one Conservation Commission member come. I can also send it to Cynthia Dunn with the understanding that if there's Planning and Zoning Commission members that come that want to see it, there should only be one. Otherwise, it could constitute a meeting under FOIA for them. And I will extend that to Cindy and to Dan so that if they want to have one of their commission members, unless they want to hold their own special
Right,
meeting,
exactly.
which they can do.
Marla, if I may, Norm Tebow, Killingly Engineering. This particular use in this zone is a staff review use. Does not require an actual meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission. So just thought I'd make you aware of that.
That's good to know. So
Saves
it
us
might need a zoning permit. So,
Just a zoning permit, correct?
so then I will send the invitation to Cindy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're gonna have a special meeting, and as we agreed on the time in June, earlier the better. And
June
we'll,
3rd,
I'm sorry,
June 3rd.
June 3rd, okay. So,
The
all right,
time of that meeting?
yeah,
9 o'clock.
okay.
Unless somebody objects. That's typically
I'm
when
fine.
perfect.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, barring, exigent circumstances, hurricanes and other things that may happen, but we don't hope not. All right. Great. Okay, so I guess we're done with that item. Let's move on to the next. Let me just advance my slide deck here. And I want to move on to number 3. It's IWA 23011, Kevin Calabro, 117 New Road, Assessors Map 154, Block 3, Lot 2H, a relocation of man-made watercourse, curtain drain, clearing and grading of 100-foot upland review area, stamped received on 5/2/23, to be statutorily received on 5/9/23. Here's the application. Go ahead, Marla.
So this is the application that came in response to the notice of violation and the issues that are there off of New Road, the ones that involve the Grays and the Kennets and Mr.
Right.
Calabro. The application is being represented by Norm Tebow. Am I pronouncing your name wrong? Is it Tebow or Tebow?
It is Tebow, like T-E-B-O. I know,
Okay.
I know it's got 9 letters in it, but it's confusing.
Okay, so Norm is here to explain what actually the application covers. And since it is an individual permit, you cannot render a decision on it today. You can only receive it, but you can ask the questions about it. And I would suggest that you start at page 74, which is the overall plan layout of the property.
Okay, great. Thank you, Marla. Mr. Tebow, you already introduced your firm. Maybe you could, if you have comments on behalf of your applicant.
Yeah,
we would
sure.
appreciate it.
So this application addresses a few things. Number one, which is outside of the upland review area, is that, and I'm sure the commission is aware of the water problems that have been occurring on Mr. Calabro's property. When he purchased the property, there was essentially some overland runoff that ran through his property, and sort of to the northwest to the Kennett property, made its way around there, and ultimately it kind of worked its way around to a cross culvert at New Road. Mr. Kennett did not want the water on his property any longer, and he kind of built up a berm to keep it from going there. So the water started running down the driveway.
No, may I interrupt you? It
Yes,
was Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray, not Mr. Kennett.
Oh, my apology. My apology. So anyway, the water now runs down the driveway kind of haphazardly. It kind of made its way down the north side of the driveway and flows to the southwest toward New Road, where there's a cross culvert. That's where the water has always gone. It's just kind of taking a different direction now. So Mr. Calabro is looking to improve the conditions on the side of his driveway to keep the water from pooling and to keep it continuing in that direction. Like I said, that work is outside of the upland review area. One of the things that is in the upland review area that was already done is there is a curtain drain you can kind of see on the right-hand side of the drawing here, right where it says the 100-foot upland review area and the leach field. When that leach field was put in, there was a curtain drain put 25 feet up gradient of the system to address any potential groundwater issues that could impact the septic system. After having put that system in, and it was brought to our attention that that curtain drain was within the 100-foot upland review area. So we're kind of here after the fact for that, but that curtain drain is installed, it is functioning, and it contributes to that runoff that it actually discharges to that small pond that's in front of Mr. Calabro's house right now. That pond is kind of the result of just the overland flow that just persists through the site, either through breakouts on the slope, some overland flow, and so forth. It's an extremely wet site. Fortunately, Mr. Calabro built a house on a slab. If he had built a basement here, I think he would have had a lot of problems. We are showing the proposed roof leaders also going to that small pond in front of the house. Currently, the water just sort of runs overland in that direction, but we're going to just direct it there instead to prevent any kind of erosion and sedimentation that might occur. And then lastly, toward the eastern part of the property, there's an area that Mr. Calabro cleared, portions of which are in the upland review area from wetlands that are off of his property. His ultimate goal there is to fence it in and allow his horses to be there, to create a paddock back there. So we're showing some additional clearing that we're proposing as part of this application, so that he'll be able to create that area that he's talking about. It's a little further to the right on the drawing. You'll see that it's labeled,
over here.
It's labeled newly cleared area.
Ah, sorry.
Right there. So
I was looking for paddock. It didn't show up.
there's no paddock there yet. That's ultimately the goal, is to, because it is a nice flat area back there, it just makes a lot of sense to put the paddock back there, to have his horses back there.
Okay. Thank you. I see hands raised here. I've got two hands. Are they applicants or?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Calabro is on the line as well in the room tonight.
Right. So we've got applicants and they're experts here. See other questions. Is that Mr. Calabro, Kevin?
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Calabro, 117 New Road.
I recognize, the chair recognized Mr. Calabro, a comment.
I just wanted to say that it's that area up there is not like a paddock where they're going to hang out. Their paddock is primarily where it is right now. That's just an area for training and exercising and riding and stuff. So they're not going to be up there all the time.
Okay, thank you.
So
Good.
George, I'd like to make a comment, and while Mr. Calabro's here, he can clarify a few things.
Thank you. Yeah.
One other item that's being proposed is, I believe, is clear cutting near the newly cleared area. It's my understanding that, Mr. Calabro, you want to clear cut the upland review area to show a new tree line. Is that correct?
Yes. I would like to clear as much as I'm allowed to up into the corner of my property again, for a visually nice cosmetic look. I would like to plant grass throughout a lot of it, whatever I can do, whatever you guys are okay with. I'm sure there's some type of a buffer I need to have there. So yes, I'm just trying to make it aesthetically pretty. And
George, you haven't identified the area of clearing correctly.
Okay, I'm looking at tree line. So where is it?
Go to your right. Go to your right. There. There's two tree lines. One is the proposed tree line, and one is the existing tree line.
Is this existing?
The proposed.
That's the proposed.
Oh, there it is. I see.
Yes, the proposed clear tree line is a heavier line weight.
I see. Okay, so here's the existing tree line here.
Correct.
The proposed, you're going to move it back by what, a couple
Correct.
100 feet?
Plus or minus, correct. Yep.
All right.
Then the second question. Sorry. The
Yeah.
second question that you have for Mr. Calabro, there's a 2-inch pipe that's shown going to the pond. Would you explain what that pipe carries and where it originates from?
I'm sorry, which pipe was that again?
The 2-inch pipe, I believe it comes from your well.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if that's 2-inch,
It's like
but
4.
no, I think that might be a 1-inch pipe. But I have an artesian condition with my well that just and that's the overflow of it.
It says 2-inch here. And there's your
Yeah, I
well
don't-
here.
It's the same size pipe that runs into the house. I think it's just a 1-inch pipe, but I'm almost certain that it's just a 1-inch pipe.
Yeah.
But
That may be
So-
mislabeled on my plan.
So the question I have for you, Mr. Crowder, is you have the well. So you're saying the water goes from the well to your house, and then from your house, the overflow goes into this pipe that discharges into the pond?
yes, yeah, because it just keeps on flowing. It's nonstop. It hasn't stopped. I mean, it slows down in the dry season to a little less, but it's still that's the overflow of it.
So is there any way that you can turn that water off?
No, Richardson Wells that drilled the well told me that there is absolutely nothing that you can do about that. He said if you try to cap it, you will blow the casing right out of the ground from the pressure that will build up.
And then a question that I have, since this application only came in the end of last week, I don't see any hydraulics that came with the application for sizing of the channel. And I was wondering if you have any hydraulics for that channel sizing to say what the capacity of that channel is going to be.
I do not, but I could provide that for you, Marla. Not a problem.
Okay, because I think that the tenants need to know at what kind of storm size could they expect that channel, since it's most likely their property that would get impacted, the rear of their property that would get impacted if that channel was inadequate and it overtopped. Now their house is a little higher than the rear of their land, so it's most likely if it did overtop in a really large storm, then it would overtop towards the portion of the land that they currently are not occupying. But I think they should know what the storm size is that you've designed this for. And given that you have a pipe discharge from a well, there's a certain amount of water that's always going in, regardless of what surface rainfall comes and hits. So that might affect the sizing of that channel.
Yeah,
I just think that because I think it needs to be addressed.
and the groundwater as well. We get a continual flow of groundwater from the curtain drain that is associated with upgrading of the septic system. So I can just certainly make assumptions as to the maximum capacity of both of those pipes, and
Yeah.
we can take it from there.
I think you really should need to do that.
Okay. Yep, not a
and
problem.
Finally, for the commission's benefit, Mr. Calaver has raised a concern regarding the Jody R. Penn property. That's the one where the commission gave a wetlands agent I gave a wetlands agent approval for. And I'm going to be in contact with Jody R. Penn regarding their driveway is not finished, and they are located on the south side of Mr. Calavero's driveway. And he has already shown me pictures of flooding of his driveway from their property. And so I think we need to talk to our Penns about their grading work so that it's not causing problems to Mr. Calavero's driveway, nor his water course that he's going to create along the north side of his driveway. And the reason why this is an individual permit application is because the relocation of that water course down his driveway is a regulated activity. Just as I felt that the activity on the Graves property blocking that water was a regulated activity, by creating a new channel here, it's also a regulated activity.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for engineer Mr. Tybo?
Marla just asked the first one that I had. The second one is the proposed new tree line is in the 100-foot wetland area. that area there. He wants
Is
to
it-
clear up close to the property line. If that does go into the wetlands, into the review area or into the wetlands?
No, into the review area.
Okay. And my last comment, I've seen that, I think Mrs. Gray has been trying to get your attention. I
I
don't
know,
know.
I noticed that.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner
welcome.
Oper. I do have a question for Mr. Typo, though. By removing this, expanding the tree line, will that change the hydrology of the site and will we experience, I'm concerned about, are there future wetlands impacts on this, you think? Or is it too early to know?
Well, everything flows away from the wetlands, so I would think not. Everything flows to the west, and the wetlands are to the northeast and southeast. So any flow from that area flows away from the wetlands.
Okay. Another question, just so I'm clear, and for everyone listening, so the pond you have in the center here goes to the ponded area. The area that you're talking about, the alternate pass is down the side of the driveway? Is that
Correct.
All the way
Correct.
down to the drainage. All right.
Yeah, there is a second sheet associated with these plans that
Okay.
that shows that where that's going to be.
Okay. I've just been focused on this one. Let's take a look here. Just so I had my mind's eye, just so I'm not mistaken. That's on 74. I'm on 74 now, so it's going to be something else.
75.
35. Ah, there it is. There's more detail. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. All right. Thank you for that. Commissioners, do you have any other questions? All right, hearing none, I do the chair will make an exception to our standard practice of having petition applicants and their advisors comment. I see Ms. Gray has raised her hand to offer a comment. Ms. Gray, do you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you so much, George, for letting me speak. Roberta Gray, 131 New Road. There's just a lot of misinformation here, and I'm just not understanding. I'm sorry, I don't know Norm's last name, but we were on this property prior to Mr. Calabro purchasing it. So this is not a overflow water storm issue. It is a issue from the artesian well that is a constant flow, and the 2 curtain drains that he told us he put in the upland review area, all that water that he created a pond for himself, that water is being directed through the conduit pipe under the driveway to the property that we acquired. Okay, and we have done our due diligence. That is not something that's allowed to do. So what we did was we protected ourselves from that illegal overflow of water. This has all been very interesting the way this has been handled, but my questions are first, because Kevin's comment about the artesian well, my understanding is from the experts that I've spoken to is that an artesian well is considered a well failure drill, so that you're supposed to cap it and re-drill. But he wanted a pond and he created the pond. Again, no permitting, it's all been done the way he's done it. So then he took that water and the water from the upland review area and intentionally put the water under his driveway, directing it off his property. So my question is there a way to get a gauge, a study, whatever, on the amount of water because artesian wells are different, that is coming out of that well because it is being displaced through the culvert across the street to my son's property. And there's an erosion concern, and I brought this to Marla's attention over a year ago. This is part of my concern. So in terms of solutions and capping or slowing down the rate of an artesian well, that is something that my understanding is possible. So in terms of coming up with, where the water's going when they do this solution, I'd like that to be considered, and just want to mention that, And again, I don't see exactly where the tree line is that is being proposed. Mr. Calabro has already taken down 13 trees on our property with his last clearing up there. And the water that, if he's going to have the horses up there, the water that's
Okay.
coming down from up there is going to impact us. So
Thank
just
you.
putting that.
Ms. Gray, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. It sounds like you've touched on a number of issues that may be beyond the scope of this commission's authority. But I did give you a making exception to our normal practice of having comments. So good points, interesting points. I think this commission has tried to address or at least guide the solution, which at least we're perhaps part way there. You raised a number of other points which perhaps belong in another forum or at a different time, but thank you. All right, commissioners, we've received this application, and if I understand from our inland wetlands agent, there is no further action required by us at this time, correct?
That's
Well,
correct.
All right,
That's correct.
great. Mr. Tybo, what do you think about the comments from any further comment on behalf of your applicant?
Not at this time. We actually have, this is just an acceptance this evening. So I know Marla has asked for a little more information, and
Sure.
Next month typically is the forum in which I could provide a more comprehensive presentation to you.
All right, I guess take in consideration the comments by the abutters in this case, of Ms. Gray and others, right? There's a number of factors that are certainly beyond my expertise and would be subject matter expert type questions. Okay, so I guess another question would be, Marla, do we need a hydrologist to get involved with this matter?
Professional engineer who's experienced in civil engineering is more than adequate to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Tipo is more than capable of
Right.
handling this.
And my background, just for the record, when I took my licensing exam, my focus was on hydrology and water resource engineering.
Okay, so that's a good, we all have different backgrounds. That's excellent. Kevin, is that a new app? Is that your hand being raised again, or is that just?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Kevin
the chair
Calabro.
recognizes Kevin Calabro. Mr. Calabro, would you like to comment?
Yes, please. I just want to make a comment that I never wanted a pond in front of my house. As far as I'm concerned, it was ruining my front yard. I wanted a nice, clear front yard, which is why I placed the house where I did on my property. And I talked with Richardson Wells many times about this, and they told me that to me, they're the professionals. They drill wells for the last, I don't know how many years. They've been around for a very long time, and I trust them. And they told me that there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And I would love, believe me, I would love to not have that water, and I would love to, have a normal well. But I mean, and
Okay.
I mean, money's an issue too, so.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Calabro, for your comments. All right. Commissioners, any further questions for the subject matter experts on this? Otherwise, we'll move forward. All right. Thank you. On that point, Marla, I guess we'll move on. We'll address this at the next meeting. I believe our next item is this it?
Thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tybo. All right, applications received after agenda is published.
There were none. I did receive an application this afternoon, but I didn't even have a chance to log it in, so.
Right, thank you. All right, permit violations, enforcement actions, notice of permit violation, permit number IWA 20022, Mark Bear, 1227 Thompson Road, Assessors Map 116, Block 24, Lot 10, Grades not as authorized in modified plan approved by the commission on February 9th, 2021. Status, that's over 2 years ago. Where's the stand?
So if you go to Zoom document page 79, you'll see a letter that I sent to Mr. Bear. I had spoken with him on the phone, and he had told me that he had hired Brian Meehan to build his house and to do some of the site work. I contacted Mr. Meehan. Mr. Meehan is the one who did Madison Avenue, built all the homes up there. And he told me that he was aware of some of the site work, but he wasn't aware of all of it. And so I felt it was necessary to send Mr. Bear a letter. Because now he does not have the original site contractor, I didn't want Mr. Meehan to not be aware of the problems with the property with regards to the grades and all the stones and stuff. It appears that there's more stone there on site than what's needed. So I have sent a memo to the building inspector, Terry Bellman, requesting that he issue no certificate of occupancy for the house until he's notified by the Inland Wetlands Commission that it has received an acceptable as-built plan for the property showing all the structures and grades. If you recall, this was the as-built that the commission wanted over a year ago, but the site work stopped because the contractor, Pat Wall, ceased to be employed by Mr. Bear, and Mr. Bear had a problem getting somebody to come in. Subsequent to this, Mr. Bear stopped by the office yesterday, and I spoke with him. He was on his way to go talk with Brian Meehan, and I reminded him that there of all these other requirements, that if Mr. Meehan was going to do the remainder of the site work, he had to be aware of what those requirements were and what the original approvals were. And I'm expecting that to be in touch with Mr. Meehan within the next couple of weeks to make sure that he understands what the issues are with this site regarding the grades and all the changes. And I've also been in contact with Daniel Blanchette, telling him that of my contacts with Mr. Meehan and Mr. Bear. So everybody's in the loop at this point in time, and now I just have to follow up with Mr. Meehan to find out whether or not he's going to complete all the site work, and if not, what is Mr. Bear going to do? Because Mr. Bear has the house up for sale already, even though it's not completed. And for various reasons, he has decided that he's not going to be living there, that he's going to sell it. And the realtor who's representing the property has also been made aware of the problems. He got a copy of the letter that I sent to Mr. Bear, and that's the status of Mr. Bear's violation.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Marla regarding the violation of Mr. Bear's property? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to the next item. Violation Douglas and Roberta Gray, 0 New Road, Assessors Map 154, Block 3, Lot 2J. Water course alternative causing flooding, issued on 11/23/22. Status, where does this stand, Marla?
So this notice of violation is on hold till we find the final resolution, until it can be shown that you find an acceptable course, alternative course for that water course. And regardless of what Mrs. Gray has identified what she feels an illegal discharge of water on property that pre-existed their purchase of the property, I'm going to keep this notice of violation file open until the commission renders a final decision on Mr. Calabro's application.
I say so. No, a question of procedure. Do we normally, in violations, if there is a violation, we certainly can have the recipient comment, correct?
Yes.
All right. I see Roberta Gray, I believe, has her hand raised. Do you want to be recognized for the chair?
Hi, this is Doug Gray.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, Roberta's
Sorry,
husband,
sir.
131 New Road. So yes, so this has been ongoing for well over a year now, okay? And we've addressed this problem professionally with Marla, and I just don't understand why this has to go month after month after month. We really want the violation removed, okay? It wasn't a water course when that property was built,
You should not be in violation.
and we clearly shouldn't be in violation of this.
Yeah, I believe, Ms. Gray, that question you posed was addressed in an earlier commission meeting. I'll have to turn to our Wetlands agent to speak to that question. Marla, did we address this question as to whether it was or wasn't, and as far as the procedural issue?
The Grays have maintained that I told them that they could move forward with blocking the water, that it wasn't wetland. But I never, as I said before, I've never said that it wasn't a water course. In fact, Charlie O'Bear and I went out, one of the first times we went out and spoke with Mr. Gray. Charlie explained about how water courses can be man-made. So I am not of the same opinion as them. I don't know what recourse that they would have at this point in time. The notice of violation was issued in November following the blockage of the water course. Yes, there's been issues with this from the time the Grays first brought it to my attention. I think it was in March of last year. So it has been a year standing issue, but the violation has only been since November and was pending whatever ultimate recourse could be found for an alternative course for this water.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. I can certainly appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Gray's concern. Does Amy, do you have a comment as officio member of the commission?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So obviously I've been following the situation pretty closely. I understand that this is an unfortunate circumstance based on a former gravel mining operation that is severely under question. And these individuals who purchased this property, you know, they're trying to figure this all out. And I can understand that Mr. and Mrs. Gray, you know, nobody wants to see that they have a notice of violation popping up in a meeting month after month after month. This isn't acceptable, because as a commission, I believe that the Wetlands Commission is there to help advise our residents, to help protect wetlands. This is a former gravel mining operation. This isn't like a protected wetlands area. It was used for gravel mining. And now these people are trying to figure it out. And I highly recommend that the commission remove this violation and move forward. Mr. Calabro is attempting to rectify the situation with Killingly Engineers, and this is the right thing to do. I would very much like to see this violation go away at this point. And so that this neighborhood can work together and come to a solution together instead of being pitted against one another. So that's my feeling.
And this is Commissioner Chapin, and I don't believe it is the commission that is pitting these people against each other.
Correct.
And I will respectfully disagree with your comment.
And
Thank you, Commissioner Chapin, and thank you, Commissioner Sena, or a non-voting ex officio member of the commission.
Listen,
And I'm not saying that you are, but every time that this violation comes up, it's a thorn in the side of our residents.
Okay, thank
These
you.
two residents.
Thank you.
I agree strongly, and I'm on record strongly as agreeing. It is a matter of resources. We don't have the money or the expertise to solve this problem, which came about after the graveling, after the regulations started to change. Nobody put any controls on the graveling. Nobody did any study afterwards. And now, yes, neighbors are pitted against each other, and I don't want to see it any more than you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. So clearly, there's strong feelings on both sides of the issue, and I think we can empathize with the Grays, and also, unfortunately, you know, the changing the water course is problematic for the reasons that we've discussed repeatedly. And I take note of First Selectman's comments regarding the current condition. I guess I'm optimistic about the fact that it looks like we have a remedy in the near term. It looks like it's on the horizon and it will be resolved. So as far as the existing violation, I mean, either it is or it isn't. You know, it's arbitrarily changing decisions that are violations is perhaps not the best course for any commission to take. But thank you for your thoughts. Any other commissioners have comments? I heard Fran. Morano, any thoughts? No? All right. Any other questions or comments on this violation?
I do have a comment.
Yes, Fran.
I think that it sounds as though the drilling of the well caused the issue and that needs to be rectified so the issue will go away. If the well needs to be capped, then it needs to be capped. Or you could put a big cistern up there and you could give water to the whole neighborhood.
There you go.
Yeah, you can solve problems if you want to solve problems.
But it's right now it's causing incredible unrest, and it sounds like the initial installation of that well is what started this whole thing to go.
Yeah, the
I
challenge.
wish I had an artesian well. That'd be great. But
Questions about that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Need to be
Morano.
documented.
Commissioner Overt, thank you for your comments as well. Yeah, it's sort of a unique, atypical situation where wetlands manifests itself after the fact and creates all sorts of problems. We recognize that. And I note comments by others at the same time. We don't seem to have a consensus on removing the violation, although it appears that it seems like a solution is in the near term. And perhaps we should have asked for, hopefully by next meeting, we'll have it solved. I can't imagine it'd take too long to correct that. Marla, any other elements to this violation that we should be aware of before, or to that matter before we move forward?
No, just that I will be observing the channel that goes along McKinnett's property to see if it constitutes a water course, if it flows for more than just a storm incident, because the Grays have indicated that they want to fill that also. But that's the only thing that I'm actually looking at on the Grays property at this point in time.
What about the suggestion by Ms. Gray regarding the resultant water flow that goes down through the properties, past their properties and onto other properties? I think a family member resides on the opposite side of the road. Is that an issue, or do we have to address that when it takes place?
I think Norm Tybo will probably address that in his hydraulics to see what kinds of flows that is. And that property also has a very high water table in portions of it. So the amount of water that's coming down and going to the 5 Mile River, which is right close by, is probably going to be de minimis. And they may have a different opinion, but at this juncture, I don't see that.
Right. And the issue of another troubling issue is that the hydrology associated with the well, and which created many of these components. Are there any further actions? I mean, from a Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Act standpoint, if that's the case, and we have a excessive amount of water, what do you think the solutions are there, if any?
I have a question.
Yes, Fran.
Who is in charge of the water supply in town? Is it under wetlands or is it under the purview of a different department?
We bring up an excellent point because it was pointed out to us in an earlier discussion that it falls under another department or another commission. Is that not the case, Marla?
Well, that was on the apartments, and that was for the wells, and the Planning and Zoning Commission has an application before them. So those are being covered under Planning and Zoning. This isn't before Planning and Zoning Commission at all. And
well, I realize that. I'm wondering if some of this responsibility, if there could be a cooperative effort between the two commissions who obviously share concerns to try and come up with a good solution for these people.
But they don't have any jurisdiction.
Excuse me, Fran, if I understood you correctly, are you suggesting the people that supply water for the town of Thompson also might be interested in this issue?
Well, if the well is
Or
under
have
the jurisdiction,
resources?
if the jurisdiction is for water supply, and I remember seeing this years ago and thinking it was very odd, but it wasn't under wetlands.
No,
Um,
it isn't.
And
And
was
I
just
don't know
thinking
why.
that's where we're all
Health.
concerned about this common issue. Maybe we could work together.
I think you're right. I like that idea. We may have a resource there that's getting money from the town that has people that know stuff that we don't know. Just
I don't know.
ask them.
Perhaps we could have our agent communicate with the other areas. You've got the water commission.
The agent and the Board of Selectmen both, because they are both interested in this.
Right, because you have the proximate cause of this issue, then the result, and you know, the cause was pointed out by our first selectman had to do with gravel mining, which was started this process, and now the
But we're
citizens are dealing
asking
with
for
it.
help. We're asking for help.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. So, Marla, perhaps in the intervening period between now and the next commission meeting, you could coordinate between the water folks in charge of water and the folks in charge of zoning, because you know when we have this outcome, we end up with a wetland which manifests itself, and folks are ill prepared to deal with it. If it's there, if it's in situ when you put a house in, you can work around it. But now you find yourself with it coming up in the middle of it, and you know who has jurisdiction.
Addie.
I'm sorry, who's that?
Oh, sorry.
All right. Okay, so I think we've covered this violation in some detail, and I appreciate the comments of all those involved and empathize with the issues. You know, if we could control everything, it'd be great. And there certainly are other remedies available to individuals that want to go beyond this commission, whether they be in tort or in equity, which I think appears to be overlooked, or perhaps it's not. But you know, if someone takes an action that results in negative outcomes, there are other avenues to pursue beyond this commission. And with that, I'm going to move on to the next item.
Can I make just one information comment that we found a 2016 town GIS map relevant to, because again, this is under our violation
Right, yes,
section here.
Ms. Gray. Yes, what?
On that map, 2016, it shows the Kennett's property with a very large, it almost looks like a pond.
Wow.
And so it's part of the picture here in terms of resolution for the water issues. That water existed prior to actually any of us moving in here. Very, very large overdug area.
Oh. Thank you for that additional information. Okay, thank you for that. Any other, seeing no other comments, let's move on to the next item then. And we have, am I on the same item, or have I restated it already here? Which one are we on?
No, you're currently on
Okay,
page
right
82. Kevin
Okay,
Calabro.
violation 2300, Kevin Calabro, 117, New Road, Assessors Map 154, Block 3, Lot 3H. Earth moving in 100-foot upland review area, issued 3/24/23. Status.
So this was issued because of the clearing activities that Mr. Calabro did at the east end of his property, where he wants to put the tree line where he was going to have the horse training area.
Right.
It was issued for that, as well as it covered the under drain, which was also done in the upland review area. So with whatever the commission decides on Mr. Calabro's application, will address the notices of violation to Mr. Calabro and to the Grays. However, the commission ends up resolving that application. Are you there?
Commissioners, any comments, commissioners?
This is
Commissioner
Charlie.
Obert?
It
Yes,
sounds to me
Obert.
like this is all tied up with the work that the civil engineer, Mr. Tybo, is doing with the complainant here and with the neighbors. It's all tied together. I'm hoping
That is correct.
that they're all seeing it all tied together. I wish we can solve a problem up there.
Yeah. So further action on our part then, it's what? Wait until Mr. Tybo comes back with his solution and we move forward?
Yeah,
Well,
on this notice of violation, it's on hold pending the resolution of the application
Okay,
submitted by Mr. Calabro.
that's what it sounded like. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item. Other business, IWC regulations revision.
Okay, if you go, George, to page 84. So one of the issues when I was working on revisions to the regulations, I came across an issue that dealt with what constitutes an application. Because there has been opinions by various attorneys that when somebody submits a form with nothing else, no site plans, no, with grossly inadequate, it doesn't supply the fee, that they say, well, you really should process it because it could be construed as an application. So in trying to deal with that situation, by providing a definition for what actually is an application, I think that can address the concern that if there is a completed application form, they have the application fee, and they have a scaled drawing, then that should constitute an application. If the materials submitted don't include those three items, the application form, the application fee, and the scaled drawing, then it would be rejected as not being an application. So this is the language that I'm suggesting for replacement, adding a new definition for what an application actually is, and then modifying the language and application requirements to make it very clear that in order to be considered an application, it would have to have those three components, the application form. And that brings me to the second issue, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, about what the application form looks like. So I'm presenting this to you just to give, because we did have a meeting about fees, a special meeting on fees, and I've got a handle on that, but now I'm going to the next part of looking at what the application forms actually look like and what the information should be on it. So in the regulations, it references the name of an application. So what I'm trying to do is make a form that will fit all of the regulated activities. So the idea is, if you go down to page 85, so
Yep.
Any application for approval of a regulated activity or a declaratory ruling would all be an application form that would be for conducting a regulated activity or getting a declaratory ruling. So under that, there are 6 types of applications. So the first base form would be required for every application. Everybody would have to have the same basic information. I don't like the layout at this point in time, but it's the information that needs to be provided, partly for the DEP reporting form, as well as for processing any application, basically applicant information and where the property is and how much activity they're being involved in and where it's located, and then the permissions. So what an applicant would do, and this, I wanted to get your feedback on it, so that an applicant, say somebody wanted a timber harvest, and so they would fill out the base form, and then they would add supplemental form B, which I've attached. Or say in the case of Fran, when she came in for a declaratory ruling, she would have checked off the first box, filled out the base form, and then chose to pick up supplemental form A, which just relates for uses permitted as of right in non-regulated uses. So that would be, those 2 documents would be attached to one another. If it was a timber harvest, a declaratory ruling, it would use a slightly different form, and that would be supplemental form B. You go scroll down to page 89, you can see what form B. It looks almost exactly the same as what we have now, except I carved out all the information about the applicant. And now it just has the harvest information. And again, I want to shrink it down. I'd like it to be just 1 page back to back, if I can get somehow draft it. So what I'm asking you to think about and give me feedback on, if you go back to the base form on page 85, I think I've told several of you, if not all of you, that I've had concerns about conceptual subdivision approvals because there is no permit issued for that, and then they have to come back and get a permit. And when it involves road construction, that can be a little problematic because when you get all the hydraulics and all of the details for the stormwater management, you may find that there's a problem. And if you've given a conceptual approval already for that subdivision, you may have a problem issuing a permit for it. So I'm proposing that you eliminate the conceptual subdivision approval, but instead have a permit for a subdivision that has no road construction or public improvements. That would be Form E, and then a subdivision with road construction and or public improvements. They're more complicated when they have road construction, and so there's additional costs that are involved. If you recall back to the fee schedule that I gave you at the beginning of last month, you will see that I was separating out the types of activities that could occur in a subdivision and that they would be additive. So I just wanted to know whether or not you wanted me to keep moving forward with drafting up modified application form for these 6 different items. I've already got 2 of them done completely, and wetlands agent approval will not be difficult, nor an individual lot. What will be more complicated is a subdivision with road construction and public improvement. What is your feeling on this?
Commissioners, any comments on Marla's recommendation to modify define first take the approach of defining it so that you can then exclude it, and then there's a modification of the 2 different forms. Any comments or observations? Commissioner Obert?
Her last point about the most difficult ones are the subdivision, and she's correct. Yeah, those are the most difficult ones. I think I know how to squeeze out the space on some of those other forms so you can fit them on one page.
Exactly.
If they're prepared in Microsoft documents. You shrink the size of the font in the blank space. It looks blank now, but if you turn on your paragraph function, it shows you what edit notes you have down the page, where the carriage returns are and all that. You can shrink those up. At least I've done it before. If I had the raw file, I could do it for you in 5 minutes.
Before I go doing all the changes, I wanted to get an idea as to whether or not you think this concept of going with a base form and then attaching a supplemental form for the type of request that you're getting, request for approval that you're looking for.
Yes, and will that be interactive on the web, or will they need to have you fill out the form?
Oh, no, the applicants would fill these out. They would pick the base form, and then they would pick whatever type of application they wanted. They would check one of those on the base form, and then they would attach the appropriate supplement.
So why don't we have don't we have an online application format that we utilize, and couldn't this be a
replacement for that?
A decision tree that, you don't have to look at paper that you don't need to look at, and just fill out the blanks online, and it completes it as needed, like a little AI tucked in there.
You could develop a fill-in form for these, but right now I'm not even there yet. I'm just trying to get the base language and the base format, base format.
Yeah.
And replace the question marks with dollar signs.
I'm sorry?
Well, we haven't.
Can we wipe out that interference? I guess we did. Marley,
Okay.
is still there?
Yeah, the question marks are there because we haven't decided on the fees yet. We're going to need, once I finalize the fee structure and bring it back to you again,
right,
then those amounts would be filled in.
Sure.
And because the individual permits, either for subdivisions or an individual lot, are variable because it depends on the type of activity that they're doing on those lots. And so we can't you have to look at the fee schedule for that particular type of activity. But declaratory rulings, you haven't decided whether you're going to charge a fee yet for that or not.
Okay,
that's why
right. So I guess there are 2 or 3 things going here. As far as the application definition, one says define it and then exclude it, and the other says if it's not complete, it's not accepted because it's not complete.
Well, I could ask to vet this through town council before I go any farther to see what their opinion is on that.
Town council? The Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, because, no, the Halloran and Sage.
Oh, engineer. Council, I'm sorry.
No,
council.
no,
The
legal
attorneys.
counsel.
Yeah, maybe, you
Yeah.
know, kind of weave, because, you know, a lot of folks, I mean, it's a contract construction question, I think, which would be in council's area. Might get a feedback on them on that one. As far as these forms, you know, I'd like to see us do away with the forms and have an online completion. Yeah, you could print it out if you wanted to, but that seems like the direction. Plus, it's backsides of forms are problematic because people usually miss them. And sometimes everything doesn't fit in the box, which is, again, problematic. So, you know, the more automated we can get, more integrated and digital we can become, the perhaps better. That's my general opinion. But that's one voice. Fran or Diane, any comments on this?
Yes, I think some people are going to be more capable and adept at dealing with that. Then we should always, I think, allow them to have the option to do it, filling it in by hand.
Yeah, a good point.
I mean,
you
a
can
lot
make
of
it-
people, a lot of people may opt to do a digital format, but there's some people that just aren't comfortable, and we need
That's
to be acknowledge and be respectful of that.
Yeah. Suppose you can put one that says easy or hard and go that route. Or analog and digital, I guess, is another way of expressing it.
So
Why don't
are you finding that, so for the application definition, I could seek legal counsel's advice on that and see whether or not they think this might be an acceptable approach. But with regards to the application form, do you want me to move forward with this type of form, which is very different because right now you have 5 different forms separate, they're distinct. And this would have basically one basic form with a supplement added.
Right.
Depending on what you wanted to do.
Seems like one with options is better than, you know, 4 is better than 7 or 10.
Yeah, I think this is better, Marla. It's Diane.
Yeah.
This is Charlie Obert. I
Commissioner
agree.
Obert.
I think that the steps she's taken are correct. Most of the things that I've seen here so far are clerical. But you said something about decision tree.
Yeah.
Something that Commissioner Moreno said also reminded me.
Right.
So if I'm Joe Citizen and I come to the webpage and it says inland wetlands and I get there and it says permit applications, you could come to the office or click here.
Right.
So that's the decision tree starts right there. So
Right.
for what Commissioner Moreno said, yeah, it's good to do it digitally, but not everybody can. Right there, we give them the option out. What was that other question about? Does the town clerk have this, scroll to the beginning of this section? She had a Microsoft Word redline document.
Oh, this is the
There.
application
And then on the
requirement.
marginal note.
Yeah,
Is
when
that-
I originally started working on this, I had put a question mark as to whether or not it said in the existing regs, your current regulations say applications forms may be obtained in the office of the Thompson Town Clerk or the Inland Wetlands Agency Commission. Well, as far as I know, the town clerk does not have copies, and this language was written well before we had a website. So I'm thinking that language regarding the town clerk having copies of the application should be wiped out anyways. And if anything, a reference to the online availability of it, but that doesn't have to show up in the regulations.
Or as well, it could, on the webpage for the town clerk, it could say, have a link that says inland wetlands applications.
Yeah.
I think there should be some way that people who don't have access to a computer can get these materials. Perhaps
I
have
agree.
somebody in one of the town offices print them out, whereas our inland wetland office isn't open every day of the week. Maybe perhaps someone else in town could help.
So before they redid the walls in the hallways, there was a plastic carrier of the various slots, and I had in the application form the various types of application forms outside my door. So
Right.
if anybody came in and the door was closed, they could pick whatever application form they wanted.
Yeah,
So hard
That would be
copies
really
were,
helpful.
yeah. Unfortunately, that plastic chute that held multiple files potentially was taken away and a different one was put up, and I don't have enough slots. So that's an easy fix if I can find one online and then just get it replaced. Donna Hall, the building clerk, she has all of her forms are inside her room. And there was a time when they were outside in the hallway. And mine were there with hers.
Yeah.
So now it's just pretty much mine, but it's a different plastic holder for brochures and stuff. And so there's not enough slots for all the wetlands stuff. So usually what happens is people call me and they ask me, and I either print it off for them, or I and send it to them, or I tell them where to find it on the web.
Right. Thank you, Marla. Commissioner Oberg, I see you have a question.
Yes, this note here was because currently those forms have not been at the town clerk's office, but probably both of your departments should. Planning and zoning and wetlands should have, that's where we buy the new display rack.
Planning and zoning has one outside of their offices. It's a rotating thing that has bins for all the forms. And I think probably it might be something for us to consider, getting a rack that can encompass the forms that are necessary.
Yes, I would agree. But the language in the regulations is not correct, because the application forms, as far as I know, are not available at the town clerk's office.
Do we have a reason why? Do we understand why the town clerk doesn't have them?
Probably because nobody ever, as time changed and staff changed. Remember, these regulations are pretty old. They come
Right.
back
Okay.
2009 at least. And there wasn't a full-time staff person. So in the absence of somebody being in the office, people, if they want to drop off applications by state law, they have to drop them off at the town clerk's office and she stamps them in.
Okay.
So I think this is a holdover from that.
Well, if that's the case, then it seems odd that if we have multiple commissions creating, lazy Susans with applications on them, it seems regressive. Why don't we just we inform the town clerk that it's we have the requirement and they provide it if that's where the filing has to take place. It's like we're going the wrong direction.
There have been times when I went into the town hall and offices weren't open, and I went into the town clerk and they were very accommodating in there. They would pull it up on the computer and print stuff out.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, why would create all these separate stacks of forms that get dated and get,
That's a better way to have it.
Yeah, well,
Certainly for the public, if they're
town
not
clerk.
computer savvy, they come in and they can get town clerk and click.
Right. So perhaps we should explore this with the town clerk rather than creating a whole separate system that's unnecessary.
Okay.
So like you have the digital version, and if you want hard copy, go to the town clerk. As far as the definition, that's something else altogether, but I mean,
Okay.
they're open
I'll
24/7.
For that language, then I'll go and talk to the town clerk. She's been away on vacation, so I don't know if she's back by now, but I'll talk to her about that and see if I can get that resolved.
Yeah, we might not want to burden her with everything that goes with it, but I think for some things, they're going to need to meet with Marla. I mean, I'm thinking somebody who doesn't know much at all is going to want to at least talk to Marla. So there's a way around this, but it wouldn't hurt to have some available through the town clerk office, which probably has the most consistent hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus, she really knows about the software on the website.
And this is a transition period because, 5 years from now, you probably won't even see paper stuff. So hopefully it will be there, digital applications and stuff. All right. Any further discussion on this? Did that address your questions, Marla, regarding the application? All right.
Yes, it did.
Let's move on to the next item. Other business? I believe we're at.
Yes, you are. You want to go to page?
I'm here. 93. Or other business update on amendments to subdivision regulations. Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the next one.
Slide
So
93.
Planning and Zoning Commission has approved amendments to the subdivision regulations. And I believe, I didn't have a chance to talk to Terry before she went on vacation, and I couldn't find it on the website, but they're proposed to be effective sometime in the next week or two, the new subdivision regulations. And those subdivision regulations, some of the important things that they have is they have private roads, they have requirements for private roads, they have standards and specifications for road construction. These are the things that matter to, I think, to wetlands applications.
Right.
They also have common drives, shared drives for up to 3 homes. And there are requirements for that. There are a number of changes that are in there, and unfortunately, I looked on the website to see if there was an announcement as to when they would go effective, but I couldn't find it. But I know it's sometime, it could be the 15th or the 16th of this month, but it's this month. It's fairly soon. So anyways, my work with the subdivision regulations is done.
Great. I know they appreciate your hard, all the effort that went into that, and also has it impacts inland wetlands. All too often we forget that one action results in other actions, as we've seen in this commission and during this meeting this evening. How the action of one group impacts other commissions. Thank you.
All flows downhill.
What?
It all flows downhill.
Oh boy, that sounds like a intended consequence.
Truism.
Yeah, truism. Yeah.
Vague.
It's almost a double entendre too. So if we look at the budget, now the next item on the commission is the budget, FY23 budget update, referendum set for May 15th, 2023. What comments do you have on this?
What I've given you is, this is posted on the website, the proposed budget.
Right.
So this is the summary page. The first on page 95 of the Zoom documents is the summary page.
Right.
And then the next page down is page 13. And in that is line item 641, starts the Inland Wetlands Commission. Now, I asked Bill Stegler, the finance director, why at number 617, it says CEO and Wetlands Officer. And I was asking why that was there. And because that's made it almost sound like they were combining the positions, and I don't think that's what they were. But he said that was a holdover from something that had gotten created before. I have no idea why those lines are there. I haven't had a chance.
Perhaps our ex officio member could comment. Ms. Sayaj, any comment?
I am totally happy to comment on this.
Thank you.
At some point in Munis software, which is the accounting software, this was a department at some point in time. In all the years that the town has been using Munis, it's nothing new. It just carried over, and it moves into the software that we use to build the budget now, which is ClearGov. In the past, it was never seen, but because it's pulling over directly from the accounting software, it is seen. But it is totally not an actual working account for the town. So you'll see other things throughout that are also non-working accounts anymore. At some time in place they were used, but they're not used anymore. So it's certainly something that Bill, who has a lot on his plate, can work to refine and take out of next year's shared spreadsheets. But for now it did carry over, but it really means nothing. It's not a new account in any way.
Great, thank you.
I hope that explained it well.
Yeah, no,
so,
the computer did it.
Also,
go ahead.
I think with Amy, with you being here, you might explain to the commission why the budget request that they made was not forwarded or approved by the Board of Selectmen, that they didn't go for the 20 hours a week and the increase in the salary.
They
You had
didn't wanna-
reasonings for it.
Because we didn't have the reason is because we didn't have a definitive time that the wetlands agent would be retiring. And we knew that the Board of Finance would be looking and scrutinizing these lines and wondering, why is this increasing? And we wouldn't have been able to give the explanation that we wanted to give.
It's pretty clear.
I think that might have put us behind the 8 ball
Yeah.
if and when Marla does retire, because we're gonna be hard strapped to find somebody who put that much concern into the job for that little money.
Oh, and I agree with you, Mr. Obert, but without having a definitive timeline, we didn't feel comfortable presenting to the Board of Finance new hours. It is certainly my intention to have a suitable replacement, but not knowing the path forward, it was very hard to make that commitment. If and when we move to the point where we need a full-time wetlands, potentially / conservation officer, we will go to the Board of Finance and request
Yeah.
funds.
Thank you, First Selectman. Thank you so much for that clarification. Okay, moving, any other points on the budget, Marla?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the next item. Citizens' comments on agenda items. It's our second opportunity for citizens to comment on the items that were on the agenda. Any further comments? Okay, hearing last call. All right then, moving on to the next item, we have budget and expenditures, and then the wetlands agent report.
Okay, budget, Commissioner Chapin, from July 1st of 2022 through April 30th of 2023, we have an available budget of $6,525.83, and we have expended 76.2% of our budget.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Diane? All right, hearing none. In wetlands agent report, Marla?
Okay, so if you go to Zoom page 99, I'll start with the updates. Recall approval DEC 23004, that was the Thompson School track reconstruction.
Right.
You recall that there was some additional erosion sediment controls that you indicated that I could ask for. So at the request of John Rice, I sent a memo dated April 17th to Amy St. Ange, providing my advice for the additional backup of erosion and sediment controls. That is the wattles that we were talking about.
Right.
Downslope, the 2 storm drain outfills. So if you look at page 100 is what I gave as the drawing. That's a little different from what I gave you originally. I had one long line of wattles, but that I figured it wasn't really as necessary, that it would cost more money. So I shortened them up and just made them semicircular to catch the runoff that comes off the hill from the storm drain system. Well, I'll continue to work on drafting the inland wetlands regulation revisions as time allows. Of course, we're getting more applications in, so it's making it more difficult. No progress has been made on the pre-1990 file destruction. Regarding inspections and follow-up actions on complaint 2301, that was 10 Stawicki Road on May 1st. I did a site visit with Public Works Director Joe Kataki. I never pronounce his name right. Kataki. Anyways, and the property owner, Robert Kopaz, to discuss his regrading of the shoulder along Passay Road to correct ground disturbance that Mr. Kopaz claimed was done by his neighbor. On May 7th, I received a voice message from Mr. Kopaz that he would be performing the agreed upon grading work shortly and would send me before and after pictures. While this work is located within the 100-foot upland review area, I consider it to be a non-regulated activity under conservation of soil and water, providing Mr. Kopaz stabilizes the area with seed and mulch. And I'll inspect the work sometime in the next week or so. I've reviewed 8 different building permits. Most of those were for above ground and in-ground swimming pools. Believe it or not, everybody wants a swimming pool now. Under miscellaneous, if you go to page 101 of the Zoom documents, this regards Zoning Board of Appeals application 2303. It was a variance for a 2-lot subdivision at 128 Elmwood Hill Road. Yesterday, I sent a memo to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They were having a hearing on this application, requesting that they require the applicant provide a site plan showing the proposed lot development with a soil scientist either verifying that no wetlands existed on the property or providing a delineation of wetlands on the property. I have been informed that last night the Zoning Board of Appeals approved the requested variance. If you go down to page 102, it shows a drawing. The red line is the actual location of the property according to the deeds and what's filed on the land records as a site plan. I believe it was record drawing 911. Map Geo incorrectly identifies the location of the property boundaries. What concerned me was that you can see where the label 244 feet is. That's very low and flat. It's currently maintained in lawn, but right to the northwest of that is an area that's clearly a swamp area, and that's owned by the Wyndham Land Trust. And what the application was to do is to split this property into 2. The property contains 56,000 square feet. So they were going to keep 40,000 square feet for the existing home and carve off 16,000 square feet, make another lot in this RR AD zone, which the minimum lot size is 40,000 square feet, and allow for another home to be built on that 16,000 square foot lot. And I do not know if at this time the splitting of this lot into 2 will require a subdivision to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's unclear whether or not this was a lot of record or whether it was a lot that already had property carved off it. If it does not then have any wetlands, it would have to be identified at that time. So if it does have wetlands, if they have to go to planning and zoning, the wetlands would have to be defined at that time, and that may come back to the Inland Wetlands Commission. I'm concerned because without knowing that if this was a hardship or not, they determined that it was a hardship, but and the reason for the second lot was because he wanted to have a lot for his son, to build a home for his son. And in Thompson, I thought the zoning regulations allowed you to have 2 homes on 1 lot. So I'm not sure what the hardship was, but I'm sure they had their reasons.
So, okay, so where are we going with this?
Nowhere. At this point, I'm just on hold. When it comes before the building office for a building permit on this 16,000 square foot lot, I'm going to be asking for verification of any wetland soils. Great. Or not.
Okay.
But so I just want to let you know because I asked the Planning and the Zoning Board of Appeals to consider it and they chose not to. I figured that you should be aware that I was asking for something and they chose not to give it. And based upon the information that I got, you see the diagram that's up on page 103. That
right.
was based on the information, that lot line was based on the information that they provided in the application. All they had was a photograph that said the lot line is going to be about here. So I drew the line in where they said it was going to be, and that's how it showed up. But from what I understand, they wanted to keep 1 lot at 40,000 square feet, and the variance lot would be smaller. And of course, it's only 16,000 square feet.
Right.
All right. So
thank you.
MS4 stormwater mapping on Chase Road. While discussing a drainage concern today at 81 Chase Road, I was told by the homeowner that there was a catch basin in front of 81 Chase Road. Because this catch basin is not shown on the MS4 storm drain system mapping, I have sent a request to the Public Works and to J&D Civil Engineers LLC, the firm hired to do the MS4 mapping, to investigate and then let me know what they find to further assist the homeowner in addressing the drainage problems. Charlie, the drainage, you would be aware of this site because the drainage problems are coming from David Chase's property, the one that you thought had wetlands on it, the undeveloped lot there on Aquatic.
It's now been
recall?
developed.
Yes. Well,
on
now
Aquatic
the
Road.
person
We looked
who-
at it across the road from, on the south side of Aquatic Road.
right.
So
well, the
water's coming
property-
off of the back of that now?
Yep, and it's going into the neighboring property and she's having problems. So we're trying to, the building inspector is going out tomorrow to look. They just got approval for a pool in the back and of that property, and the property owner at 81 Chase Road thought they were putting in some kind of under draining system that was going to drain again to her rear property line. So she showed me photographs of a small intermittent pool that she has at that back corner of her property, which then would class as a water course. And I've drawn a 100-foot circumference around that, and having the building inspector let me know if there's been any work within that 100 feet. But I don't know what the solution is going to be to her problem, other than her putting in a drain in her property.
Am I correct that the neighbor who had lived there before identified the wetlands that you and I couldn't find? We looked
don't
only
have
on the property on Aquatic Road and thought that there must have been some somewhere, but we couldn't find any signs.
So the problem when we looked at it, which was I think 2018, no, maybe that's 2018, I think it was. They had already cleared off the land, so I couldn't base it on vegetation. And I'm not a soil scientist, so I couldn't prove anything.
Right.
That there was
I see we have a question. By Amy St. Ange, do you have a question?
I just wanted to talk about the Elmwood Hill Road application for variance. We did consult with the land use attorney. And yes, wetlands may have to give approval at some point, but at this stage, wetlands should not have been involved in rendering any kind of decision until an actual plan for building on that property was actually presented to the town. So we did our due diligence, and this should never have been brought to wetlands in any respect prior to an actual building proposal being brought before the town.
Who brought it to the in the wetlands? Back of that.
Marla brought that actually took it to ZBA on her own.
So
From what I
as part of the coordination efforts in town hall, I received copies of agendas for the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and when I was looking through it, and I checked to see what applications are pending to see if there might be any issues that might need to be addressed. So I felt it was a value to them to know. First of all, I found that application to be grossly incomplete. It did not, you couldn't tell where the property line was going to be. They didn't have an adequate map that showed it. But that was their issue. That wasn't my issue. My issue was, could they, if they granted a variance, could they even get a house on that? And that's all. I was just raising that question. It wasn't telling them what to do. I wasn't doing any approvals. I was just giving them a request to
Feedback,
get some information so they could render an informed decision.
Okay.
Right, and from the homeowner's perspective, before they start investing money in a surveyor or a soil scientist, what they need to do first is make sure that the town is actually going to give them a variance.
Right.
And that was the first step. And since the town has since granted the variance, then that owner of the property will start investing the money for surveying, for soil scientists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So here's a question.
Excuse me, I understand that, but did I also understand that you had legal advice on this?
That relates to in the
Is it in
wetlands.
writing?
Correct. After Marla had reached out to Cindy, our zoning enforcement officer, and suggested that these parameters be placed on the owner of the property, I advised Cindy to reach out to Rich Roberts, our land use attorney, who concurred that The first
Is
step
that
would
in
be to
writing?
get the variance. Yes, we do have it in writing. I'm happy to share that with you.
Then I think that we need to see a copy of that.
Happy to do that.
Because this is an issue of wetlands and it is an issue of slipshod management within the town,
Well,
honestly.
Well, it will,
Commissioner
it
Obert,
will be an issue of wetlands when there's actually a proposed building plan.
But that's why the man wants to break the lot off.
Correct.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that, Amy. Appreciate it. Yeah, in the future, if there's, if the council comes and renders a decision that relates to wetlands, it'd be appreciated if that'd be shared with commission, so we're aware of it, right?
Well,
So that
this all happened last night.
oh, okay,
From what I
that's
understand, late.
that's just
very late.
happened. Okay, got it. Okay, good. I was just curious. I was scratching my head saying, okay. Thank you for that clarification. And if it just happened, there's not a lot we can. Thanks for bringing it up. All right, Marla, I know you're. Any further items on your report?
Oh, just on the purchase requisitions, it seems like the prices for legal notices have dropped. But I don't understand it. They've changed over. Apparently, Stonebridge Press is a subsidiary of Salmon Press. And the woman that I dealt with before at Stonebridge Press did legal notices. She's not doing that anymore. And I've got a new set of people. And now it looks like the prices have dropped. So I have to do a little research on that. But other than that, that's all the money that's been pretty much. Oh, by the way, I did get a copy of the new revised What's Legally Required by Mike Siska. I have it in the office. If anybody wants to borrow it to look at it, it costs the agency $45.64. Got it from UConn, and it is available. If you want to know how to get your own copy, just send me an email and I'll send you a link.
What was the title again, please?
What's Legally Required by Mike Siska. It's the Bible for planning and zoning commissions and inland wetlands commissions,
right,
for how to do business. It's a
right,
good education tool. If you want to look at it, I have a copy in the office.
I will, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. It sounds like something we could utilize. You think that we
That's
should
it.
probably acquire it, a copy. All right. Thank you. So next item is correspondence. I see none, so we'll move on. Signing of Mylars, none. Comments by commissioners. I know you've been anxiously waiting this opportunity, although you've certainly voiced your concerns throughout this 2 hours and a half of meetings. Any further comments by commissioners? Commissioner Obert?
Thank you. I would only like to say that I apologize for losing my edge here and saying things that I believe were correct, but could have been said better. And so I intend to continue to try to work in a spirit of cooperation with all the residents of the town. And bear with me. I know I'm only human.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. Commissioner Chapin, comments?
Nope, I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm not going to say anything at all.
Words from Dale Carnegie, it sounds like. Commissioner Morano.
No comment.
All right. Yeah, I think we were making some progress in some areas. I know there's frustrations in many areas. These are my comments. And that I think we always do better. So let's find ways to do that. And hopefully some of the issues that are before us tonight can be resolved soon so that we can clear them up and put them in the rearview mirror. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at 9:34 p.m. Thank you, everyone. You can